Welcome to the Mastiff 2 Battlefield Ambulance. The M2 BFA is based on the Mastiff 2 Troop Carrier Vehicle, or TCV. It's a 6x6 wheel drive vehicle that can carry 3 or 4 crew, 1 stretchered casualty and up to 3 sitting wounded, depending on crew numbers. The Mastiff 2 is the latest addition to the wide range of highly effective and protected patrol vehicles, which feature the latest protection methods against small arms, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs. This TCV is suitable for road patrols and combat logistic patrols. Automotively and structurally, the ambulance is the same as the Mastiff 2 TCV. There are minor changes to the outside of the vehicle, the addition of red crosses being the most obvious. The Mastiff 2 ambulance is designed and equipped as a Trauma Management Emergency Response Platform, or TMERP. The clinical white space is critical to delivery of this capability. Let's examine the Mastiff 2 BFA in detail. Starting with the outside, red crosses can be displayed on the front and sides. Emergency lights are fitted to the front ground plane. The speaker for the sirens and public address system is fitted behind the headlight under the right-hand front wing. Moving along the side of the vehicle, there are stowage bins to the rear of the fuel tanks on both sides of the vehicle. These bins are unarmoured, but are ideal for stowing longer items of medical equipment and a casualty's personal equipment. A stretcher bin is fitted to the bar armour above the rear wheels on both sides of the vehicle. Each bin can stow a scoop stretcher or spine board. 2 standard fold-up GS stretchers can be stowed on the rack behind the bar armour. Extra securing straps are supplied in the vehicle's CES, so folded GS stretchers can be stowed in this location if required. A similar rack is fitted to the other side of the vehicle to stow the towing A-frame. The rear of the vehicle displays the red cross, and flashing blue lights are mounted on the rear ground plane. The right-hand bin is a standard bin for general stowage, while the left-hand rear bin is armoured and is fitted with a mounting frame for the oxygen cylinders. This bin is armoured. The roof of the ambulance has 2 more red crosses fitted to the lids of the rear stowage bins. These bins are slightly larger than the standard TCV bins. 4 further roof bins are standard TCV items and will contain vehicle-specific CES items. A bin on the rear of the cupola is available for additional stowage. Let's move into the inside of the ambulance. Entry to the vehicle is through the rear doors. Starting from the front in the driver's cab, this is the same layout as the TCV with ambulance-specific items. The controls for the public address system, siren and flashing blue lights are additions to the dashboard. These are centrally mounted for either the driver or commander to operate. Splash curtains are fitted to seal the driver's compartment from the rear medical compartment. The ECM rack, Bowman HF radio frame and battery stillage is also provided with splash curtains. The rear compartment is finished in white and is designed to facilitate an easy washdown. There are 3 seats fitted to the right-hand wall, the first 2 for walking wounded or the gunner. The seats are fitted with removable covers for easy cleaning. Handheld fire extinguishers are stowed below these seats. Stowage for 2 personal weapons is between the seats and an oxygen outlet is situated by each headrest. A hook is also placed near the oxygen outlets to support liquid packs. The rear seat on the right-hand wall is the medic seat. This seat is adjustable so the medic can position himself near the stretcher. An oxygen cylinder is fitted to the hull wall by the medic seat. The control for the external cylinders is mounted on the wall near the medic seat, with the medic's white light switch mounted on the ceiling panel. At the other side of the medic seat are 2 power sockets for portable equipment, one rated at 12 volts and the other at 24 volts DC. Located by the rear door is a collapsible stowage facility for a medical Bergen just above the TACSAT radio. On the left-hand side of the ambulance is the stretcher. The casualty must be loaded feet first. The suction equipment is stowed under the head of the stretcher. On the wall above the stretcher and Bowman VHF radio are another two 12-volt power outlets to power the suction pump, defibrillator and heart monitor as required, and an Entonox cylinder. The cupboard houses a paper towel roll holder. Above the towel roll holder are the heart monitor, defibrillator and sharps bin. Another oxygen connector is available for the stretcher casualty. This is fitted to the end wall of the equipment stowage cabinet. An adjustable lamp and fixed lamps are fitted to the underside of the equipment stowage cabinet. At the front left-hand side of the medical compartment, a shelf for the Tropicool unit is fitted to the end of the equipment stowage cabinet. A seat is available for a sitting wounded casualty. At roof level, a 24-volt socket is provided to power the Tropicool unit. To the left of the seat headrest is a 12-volt socket. A hook is provided at roof level to support a fluid bag. To the right of the headrest is an oxygen connector. Personal weapon stowage for the walking wounded is to the left of the seat. The driver and commander's weapon stowage is by the EECM transmitter. Two stowage blocks are mounted to the floor at the front and side of the gunner's step. Depending on crew and casualty configuration, the cool freeze unit can be stowed on either block. All the Red Cross decals can be reversed, displaying a plain sand-coloured surface if required. Take care with the large side decals, access is easier from the roof. The side plates are made of aluminium sheet. These decals are held by anti-loose catches at the top. The lower edge is held by the decal mounting frame. The other smaller decals are fabric. These are secured by turnbuckles. The blue flashing lights at the front and rear ground plane each have covers, which are secured in place by turnbuckles. The flashing lights, sirens and public address system are operated from a switch, control box and microphone arrangement within the driver's compartment. The switch for the blue lights is located on the top right-hand side of the switch panel. When turned on, the switch will illuminate blue and the lights on the front and rear ground plane will flash. The sirens and PA system are operated from the control box and microphone on the dashboard. The power switch on the control box has two positions, off and on. The rotary switch has 7 positions that may be selected. In the PA position, the commander can broadcast over the vehicle's loudspeaker through the microphone. The volume level of the loudspeaker is controlled by the volume adjusting screw. The siren functions are wail, yelp, tone 3, and air horn. The volume adjustment screw has no effect on any siren tones produced. Operation of the microphone will override the siren function. The manual siren function, the hands-free function, and the radio repeat functions are not used. The 2 stretcher bins are fitted with padlocks to secure the lid. The bins are slim, so place only one item in each bin. While stowage of the scoop stretcher is straightforward, ensure the spinal board has its straps fitted, as this will make it easier to grab the spinal board for removal. A TCV has a tray at the base of the bar armour on the left-hand side to stow the towing A-frame. The ambulance has a similar tray fitted to the right-hand side to stow up to 2 GS stretchers. To access the GS stretchers, the rear bar armour must be swung open. Extra ratchet straps are supplied in the vehicle's CES to secure the stretchers in place. Do not stow other equipment here, and do not allow the stretchers to protrude above the stretcher stowage bins, as the RPG protection capability of the bar armour will be drastically reduced. The external belly bins can be used to stow larger equipment and a casualty's personal stowage. A standard TCV rear bin is retained on the right-hand side of the vehicle. All of these bins around the sides of the vehicle are unarmoured and will be damaged in a blast. There are 6 roof bins as fitted to the TCV and are for vehicles CES, although the 2 rear bins are larger than a TCV to enable extra medical equipment to be included. The rear left-hand stowage bin houses 2 oxygen cylinders. This bin is armoured. To install the rear cylinder, the armour panel has to be removed from the inside of the bin to give enough clearance for the framework to be released. Use a 17mm spanner provided within the vehicle's CES to remove the fixings holding the panel in place. Remove the 2 quick-release pins from the pivot frame. This will now tilt forward, allowing access to the inner oxygen cylinder stowage space. Ensure the cylinder sits on the location block securely. Close the pivoting framework and secure it with the quick-release pins. Fit the pipe marked as right hand to this cylinder. Refit the armour panel. Do not be tempted to leave the panel out, as this provides ballistic protection for the cylinders. Place the outer cylinder into the framework. Make sure the cylinder sits over the locating block and fit the quick-release straps to hold it secure. Fit the pipework marked left hand. Open the valves on the cylinders to charge the system. It's advisable to use the outer cylinder connected to left hand as the primary cylinder due to the ease of replacement. Close the bin lid and bar armour. A gauge and valve mounted inside the vehicle controls the flow of oxygen. Select the left-hand cylinder as the primary source. The gauge shows only that oxygen is available, so the needle is either in the green sector or shows empty. It does not slowly move to the empty position as the oxygen in the cylinder depletes. The lever selects the supplied cylinder as required. Outlet ports adjacent to the seats and stretcher are available for an oxygen mask to be fitted. To remove the cylinders, open the bar armour and stowage bin. Close the valve on the cylinders and disconnect the pipework on the outer cylinder. Release the securing straps and remove the cylinder. Remove the armour panelling. Disconnect the pipework from the inner cylinder, remove the quick-release pins and swing the framework down to expose the cylinder. There is a legal requirement for any breathable supply system to be recertified periodically. The servicing schedule will specify any maintenance checks to be performed. The medic seat has adjustments for back and forth, backrest rake and for height. These adjustments allow the medic closer access to the casualty. A 4-point harness is fitted to secure the medic into the seat while the vehicle is moving. To adjust the seat back and forth, pull the control bar up to achieve the desired position, then release the adjusting bar. A height adjustment lever is fitted to the seat base. Pull up to make an adjustment. Make sure the seat is locked into position after adjustment. To adjust the angle of the backrest, operate the adjustment lever until the desired position is reached, then release the lever. When operating the stretcher mechanism, the seat must always be moved fully back and set at its lowest position to give clearance. The stretcher cradle design allows the cradle to partially move outside the rear of the vehicle to facilitate the loading of a standard GS stretcher. Let's look at this process in detail. Before attempting to move the cradle, ensure the rear steps are in the mount and dismount position so the cradle assembly doesn't foul during operation. Slide the medic seat fully rear and down to its lowest position. While the stretcher and casualty is in position, the casualty's head will be close to the VHF radio, making battery replacement difficult. So check the battery life indicator and fit a freshly charged battery if required before loading a casualty. When receiving a casualty, 3 persons will be required to load the stretcher, 2 outside the vehicle and 1 inside the vehicle. The person inside must first check the index plungers which lock the stretcher to the cradle are out. Then release the rear, centre and front locking bolt securing the cradle to the cross slide frame. Taking the grab handle in both hands, pull the cross slide frame into the centre of the vehicle. Lock the cross slide frame in the centre of the vehicle with the rear locking bolt. With the cradle in the middle of the vehicle, a person on the outside must pull the grab handle on the rear of the cradle firmly so that the cradle slides out and downwards until it stops at its full extension. Release the spring-loaded support leg and let it fall towards the rear steps. Place it in position on the bottom step. Check the index plungers are out. The casualty must be strapped to the stretcher. Then lift the stretcher onto the cradle. The casualty must enter the vehicle feet first. Lock the stretcher into the cradle with the 3 index plungers. Support the head end of the stretcher and stow the support leg assembly into its home position. Slide the cradle along its rails back into the vehicle until it locates into the cross slide frame. Lock the cradle onto the cross slide frame with the front bolt. Unlock the rear bolt and slide the stretcher towards the wall until it locates into the support frame. Lock the whole assembly back into position. To dismount the casualty, 2 persons must be outside the vehicle and 1 person inside the vehicle. Ensure the rear steps are in the mount and dismount position. Slide the medic seat fully rear and down to its lowest position. The person inside the vehicle must check the stretcher is locked to the cradle by the index plungers and the casualty is strapped to the stretcher. Release the rear, centre and front locking bolt securing the cradle to the cross slide frame. Using both hands, pull the cradle into the centre of the vehicle and lock the cross slide frame to the floor with the rear locking bolt. With the stretcher now in the middle of the vehicle, the 2 persons outside must pull the cradle to the outside. Support the end of the stretcher whilst deploying the cradle support leg onto the rear step. Release the 3 index plungers to free the stretcher and remove the stretcher and casualty from the cradle. A curtain is situated between the driver's and commander's seats. It's fixed on the left-hand side and has magnets in the right-hand seam. To prevent white interior lights distracting the driver, close the curtain during vehicle movement. An additional curtain is fitted to the top of the ECM equipment mounting frame and the radio frame. Tiebacks are provided on the top of the frames. The windows in the rear doors are covered by removable covers held in place by Velcro. A medical module stowage shelf is provided in the right-hand rear corner of the vehicle adjacent to the air conditioning unit. The shelf folds down and is secured on top of a support leg. Position the leg with care so not to damage the TACSAT radio. Straps are attached to the rear of the shelf and above the air conditioning unit. When stowing a medical module, use the straps to connect to existing connectors on the medical module. The module lid can be held in the open position by the 2 straps mounted over the air conditioning unit. Adjust the straps so the module sits securely. This shelf is not to be used as an internal seat. An equipment stowage cabinet, which houses various waterproof storage containers, is located above the stretcher. The containers are secured by a netting cover. A shelf for heart monitor and defibrillator is fitted with securing straps. A paper towel roll holder and sharps bin are also built into the shelf unit. A suction pump is stowed below the stretcher and is held in place by adjustable straps. An oxygen and an Entonox cylinder are located inside the vehicle. These are for use outside the vehicle. Release the securing strap from around the cylinder. Remove the cylinders from the support bracket and use outside the vehicle. When restowing the cylinders, ensure they are securely strapped to the support frame. The cylinders are heavy and bulky items. Any involuntary movement of these around a moving vehicle can prove fatal. The power sockets for medical equipment are supplied by PDU2. The aux battery switch on the dash must be switched on, and the two master switches by the gunner's seat must also be turned on. Socket 1 and 2 of PDU2 are ambulance-specific power sockets. Each has its own circuit breaker. Socket 1 powers the flashing blue lights, siren and public address system. There are two additional fuses behind the centre dash which protect the relay switching side of flashing blue lights, siren and public address system. Socket 2 powers the interior white lights and 12-volt power sockets. The rear compartment is fitted with blue and white dome lights. Interior lighting colour is controlled by the driver and can be switched to blue light only if tactics dictate. The driver's cab has red and white lights. The rear dome light selector switches are on the power socket box by the medic seat. The light colour selector switch still carries the red light nomenclature. This is a throwback from the vehicle's TCV roots. White lighting is available around the stretcher. The white lighting master switch is located on the ceiling above the medic, so he can turn off the lighting around the casualty if required. The splash curtain to the driver's cab can be deployed and the rear window blinds can be securely fitted before turning on the white lights. The medic can extinguish the white lights if required. When the rear doors are opened, the white dome lights will switch to blue light. A Waco Tropicool refrigerator unit is mounted adjacent to the equipment stowage cabinet. The refrigerator can be used to both cool and to keep items warm. It's primarily for the storage of temperature-sensitive drugs to maintain their shelf life. To store medicine, check that the cooling capacity of the unit corresponds to the requirements of the respective pharmaceuticals. Prior to using the Tropicool unit, clean it inside and outside with a clean, damp cloth. Connect the power cable into the 24-volt socket. Make sure that the ventilation slots are not covered. Press the on-off switch. The unit will start to cool or heat the interior space. The blue operating LED will illuminate in cooling mode. The red operating LED will illuminate in heating mode. To select cooling or heating, press the hot-cold switch once. The control unit of the Tropicool unit has a memory function. The temperature that was previously selected in either mode is selected again when switching on or switching between cooling and heating modes. The temperature display indicates the selected temperature range. In cooling mode, the range is from 1 to 15 degrees centigrade. The more LEDs lit, the cooler the temperature. In heating mode, the range is from 60 to 50 degrees centigrade. The more LEDs lit, the warmer the temperature. A Waco CoolFreeze unit is mounted on the right-hand side adjacent to the Bowman radio frame. If the seats are required by walking wounded, it can be stowed at the front of the gunner's step. However, this will restrict access to and from the driver's cab. The cooler can chill products, keep them cool, and freeze them. Check the cooling capacity of the unit meets the requirements of the products being stored. The unit has a cooling capacity of +10 to -18 degrees centigrade. However, if the ambient temperature is above +32 degrees, the minimum temperature cannot be attained. Prior to using the cool freeze unit, ensure it's cleaned inside and out with a clean damp cloth. Connect the power cable to the nearest 12 or 24 volt socket. Keep the unit plugged in to maintain temperature. Make sure the ventilation slots are not covered. Set the sliding switch of the battery monitor switch to the low position. The high position is not used in this installation. Set the temperature controller between cold and freeze as required. If the unit is to remain off for a length of time, leave the lid slightly open to prevent odour buildup and disconnect the power lead. Humidity can form frost inside the unit or on the vaporizer, reducing the cooling capacity. To defrost, disconnect the power cable, remove all items from inside the unit and leave the lid off. Wipe away any defrosted water. The interior of the ambulance is finished in white and can easily be washed down with a cleaning solution. Check the maintenance schedule for further information. Fitted items have been sealed with Mastiff on manufacture. If any item is removed, then it must be resealed. When cleaning the floor, check for pooling of cleaning fluid and in particular clean the rear drip tray at the back door and the hatch handle recesses in the floor. For further information on the Mastiff 2 Battlefield Ambulance, refer to the vehicle AESP Octad 2320D421.